Welcome to The Third Side with your host, John and Stacey Edwards from thirdsideparanormal.com. Hello and welcome to The Third Side. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
And this week, kids, we've got some cool stuff for you. Now, last week was my favorite episode we've ever done.
Yes, you were out of control.
If you haven't seen last week's episode, yes, Stacey was out of control. As she said, she kind of let loose. Before the show, this place is the place we record The Third Side at Avon Studios.
Right.
Avon Studios is a nonstop pretty pony party. It's hard to just...
We'll just go with it.
All right.
Okay.
It's hard to really explain the magical happenings, what it's like being at an active location in so many different ways. And it's like a plethora of mayhem. And, you know, at all times, you never know what's going to be happening. You never know what the place is going to feel like when you show up. And that obviously influences how we react. So, you know, some weeks Stacey's on a binge, and other weeks she's in control. We reel her in. It's a good thing. And why is there a necromancer's hat on our table?
I'm not sure where that came from.
Okay. That wasn't there, right? During pre-take and when we were...
I don't think so.
All right. The pre-production to the actual production completely changes sometimes. We have like dancing girls and showgirls sometimes, and then they're just gone. We find them in a closet later.
You're not supposed to talk about that.
We're not supposed to talk about thirdsideparanormal.com. That's your destination for everything that is Third Side, including, and I can't say plethora again, but there's a lot of dancing rainbows. You never know where you're going to find them. They're on thirdsideparanormal.com. If you're into rainbows.
Dancing rainbows.
Dancing rainbows.
I can add that. Okay.
Yeah, with smiley faces.
Okay.
And devil horns. That's what we have to have.
Okay.
Facebook.com/thirdside. That's where you can go if you're on Facebook and you want to look at the Third Side. No, honestly, you go there, like the page. You're going to get really cool paranormal updates every day. We make sure somebody is manning the page or womaning the page at all times to find out, you know, if anything cool happens in the world. And we have a nice little buzzy network of people that let us know if something happens in, you know, Budapest that you might want to find out about. We have a lot of friends that let us in on stuff that's going on that you might not see on your normal news feed. So Facebook.com/thirdside. Be sure to give us a little like there. On Twitter, it's at 3sidepara. That's the number 3. Side Para. And always, you know, on YouTube, we need you to subscribe. Last week, you guys did a good job. We got a lot more people subscribing. We really appreciate it. I know a lot of you listen on iTunes. If you do listen on iTunes, leave us a review. You know, let the world know what you think of the show. And some of you are doing a good job with that too. We really appreciate it. You know, that's the only thing. We put a lot of effort into this. Justin puts a lot of effort into this. Rick puts a lot of effort into this. Everybody puts a lot of effort into the show. And the only thing we want back from you is your love. That's all.
That's all.
Because just like me, everything is love. Because I love everyone, especially
love everyone.
The Brazilians. And now for paranormal news.
It's hard for us here to believe what we're reporting to you, but it does seem to be a fact.
Okay, now for some news.
I was not thinking nudes. I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah, okay.
It's the t-shirt.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Showing my arms.
Yeah, you are.
Some elbow action going on.
It accentuates your elbows perfectly.
Does it?
Uh-huh. I can actually tell your elbows are leaning on the table.
More things. Okay, news time anyway. I'm going to hold my news up. Okay, so the first story.
It's pretty impressive that your news can still hold up.
Gotta talk about. We're not even into the news yet. I'm already reining you in. Okay, so the first story is one that just showed up yesterday, I think, or recently, about NASA.
Yes.
And how one of the chief scientists has come out and said that, they're going to find that definitive evidence within the next 10 to 20 years.
Right.
And the story's broken. Everybody's sharing it. Major news networks are sharing it.
Big news networks.
Yes. Yes.
And it's such a huge deal because they're saying definitively.
They're saying something like that.
They are. I must have drank your drink before the show. They're saying for sure that we're going to have proof, absolute proof, of alien life within the next 10 to 20 years.
Yes.
Now, I got excited. Let's just tell the truth. I seen this story on Huffington Post. I seen this story on the LA Times. I got very excited when I seen this because it was hitting the major news outlets.
Right.
It was a chief NASA scientist, like Stacey said, in Washington that actually came out and said, this is what's going to happen. Now, obviously, we won't even get into the part that it's all a clever ruse because it's been happening for a long time and this is their slow way of letting us know. But what is funny, we've talked on this show before about how we're force-fed things as the sheeple we are. And sometimes we forget something that happened last week because, that was last week. And this information age, we're not going to remember certain things.
If it's not being pumped to you all the time.
Right. And some things catch, some things don't. Well, here's an interesting little tidbit for you. I told Stacey about this story. And I was like, holy cow, when you look at this, I cannot believe that they're actually coming out and saying that they are going to find alien life within the next 10 to 20 years. Stacey looks at me in a weird kind of way, and she's like, honey, we did that story already. I'm like, no, this just came out. This just came out. And you guys can go on the internet yourself and check this out, see when the story came out. She goes, we did that story. And she goes back to the archives of The Third Side, which I suggest you all do. And on the very first episode of The Third Side.
I actually looked at my news blog because that's where I put all the links for the news stories that we do.
Right.
And the headline on that news blog from our very first episode says, NASA claims we'll find alien life in the next 20 years.
Right.
And it was another story.
At the time, it was a big deal to us because the Vatican had recently said something similar.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
Right.
They were having these conventions and stuff like that. And the story that we did before, and this was back, I guess it came out in July of last year, so it's been like 8 months ago.
Right.
It was a different scientist, and it was at some kind of convention. But a news outlet, not a major news outlet, but a small news outlet had picked up the story and had said that this scientist said that we're going to find life in the next 20 years. So whenever this story came out, I thought it was kind of odd that
right
here now this story is saying the same thing. The only difference is this scientist, of course, she's a chief scientist, Ellen Stoffen, I don't know how you say her last name.
There you go. That's for Stacey.
I know. She claimed definitive evidence. It did go on to say that she wasn't talking about actual aliens. She's talking about,
aliens.
Microbes. Yeah, but but it's not aliens. Little green men.
Basically, what they're saying and what they're going to do is they're going to say, hey, look, this is a space kitty. You see how pretty the space kitty is? It's a space kitten. Meow.
It won't hurt
Meow. You. It won't hurt you. And because that's a lot easier for us to digest. But once they give us space kitty, then a couple of months later, they're going to have to let us know, sorry to let you know.
Here's the guy that owns the space kitty.
Yeah, this is space herpes. And, it came from Space Kitty, who had sex with Earth Rabbit. And it's just how they start things out. So microbes, that's a fancy word for you're all screwed and we're going to take you over.
And in 20 years, it's going to be, yeah. So there was a quote in this particular article of her saying, it's not an if, it's a when.
Right.
So, they're pretty much just saying it. And she had gone on to say something about how just in our solar system, how many oceans and things there are, and that's why they think that they're going to.
There is no way, there is no possible way for us to articulate to you how big of a news story this is. Because we're going from 5 years ago of most scientists, by default, learning when they're in university, hey, we don't say there's other life. We don't say, sometimes we might say there's a possibility of a possibility that we're possibly going to meet someone who could possibly tell us
millions of years from now or something.
Yeah. This is how much flip-flop has happened. And the bigger news story, and what I think is cool about this, because you never know where your news stories are going to come from. The news story on this today is not really the fact of NASA saying 10 to 20 years. It's the fact that they said it a year ago.
Yeah.
That's our news story because it goes back.
Almost like the story didn't take off good enough.
Right.
Like because it just got picked up by that little.
Or they did a test run.
Right, to see how people would react.
Right.
And then they were like, well, we need that to hit bigger news outlets. So
everything the government does, I'm pretty sure it's like any business.
Right.
And they're going to do test markets. They're going to, see how this is going to impact financial, how it's going to impact long term, pros, cons, everything. And maybe what we, where we're always, like we talk about with our network of people, we're always getting stories. Perhaps this was just a test run they did.
Maybe.
And it went away. And now this big one is the big one.
Right. I mean, because if that first story was just like a hoax or something, I mean, they're pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Accurate. So, yeah, I think it's probably I don't know. It's weird. So anyway, let's move on now that we've outed NASA for their double stories.
That's what we like to do here is bring people out.
So the next story I thought was really interesting, and I think that you shared it on our Facebook. It's the one about the researchers that found the microchip in the rock. They're calling it a microchip, and they supposedly dated it to like 250 million years ago.
Right.
Something like that. So interesting story. There were some pictures that we'll show. I don't know why. I don't really know why they consider this a microchip. It looks kind of like, well, I guess it's a little square. I don't know. It could have been, but when they were dating it, the only problem with this is when they were dating it, they couldn't actually date the actual item that's in the rock.
They have to do what's under it.
So they got like some minerals around it and some things that were around it and dated those, and that's what came up to the 250 million years ago thing. But I mean, I don't know. What do you think? I mean, you saw the pictures, didn't you?
I think that there's been many ages of men. I think that we find stuff all the time that dates us and throws us back further and further. And, like I've said before, if you look at the fact that we've been around millions of years, that it's, I think that we've had technology that rivals what we have now or at a higher level than what we have now. Maybe it was with crystals, maybe it was with whatever. But I think that we have had the technology in the past. I think this is probably a bunch of caca. This particular story, because I seen it and
well, I didn't. When I first saw it, my first reaction was not that it looked like a microchip.
To me, the biggest thing would be like the Pakistani desert that is turned to glass from the from what probably was a nuclear war at some point, million years ago, and it did the same thing to the desert sand that happened when we tested the first nuclear bomb. I think that's the kind of cool stories that I like. This one I'm not so sure about.
Well, I just don't know what possessed them to say that this. I don't know. I mean, it seems like they took a leap, saying that this is a little bit leap. And of course, anytime something like this comes out, people just they jump on it and they're like, oh, they're so ready to claim that as evidence without waiting to see.
That's everybody. They
what
don't.
The tests are.
Most people, they see something, it sounds cool, and that is your pseudoscience. That is your, okay, we're not going to do any research on that. We're not going to do any kind of studies. We're just going to say, this is what this is. Now, it could be.
It could be, and it's not that I don't think that there weren't other civilizations. I totally do. I just don't think that this particular thing is what they're thinking. If anything,
things like that throw off people from even considering that. It's
right.
almost
so
like
almost like a disinformation
Right.
thing. You know, like, honestly, I think we were talking. I think they should get that guy, the geologist from America Unearthed, Scott Walter.
Yeah.
He could like do his little geology thing on it.
the little geology
The
thing.
little geology thing with his little tools in his little bag or whatever he does.
Yeah, he could use his little tools.
He could figure out what it was. I don't
Right.
know. So, and, you know, if he could do it, I'm sure they have people that can.
do it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not better. That was kind of a rude thing to say.
Oh,
But, you know, they could do it also.
well, no, I meant, you know, geology, you know. Okay, continue.
Anyway, let's move on to the next story. We're just going past that. Okay, so this is a story about some scientists at Clarkson University in New York who are investigating a link. And when I first saw this story, I apologize. I'm trying to call people on the phone. When I first saw this story, I was a little worried because anytime you see scientists that are trying to prove a paranormal thing in a laboratory, it's usually not a good thing. Like they're trying to debunk all paranormal activity. But this is not like that. These scientists are not trying to say that they don't believe in ghosts or that there are spirits. But what they are trying to do is they're trying to figure out if there are some locations where the activity could be blamed on some environmental, something like toxic mold or something like that. Like maybe sometimes when you go to a location, you inhale this bad air and then it messes with you, and that's what's causing the activity or your apparitions or you're seeing things, stuff like that. So that is what their little experiment is that they're doing. Yeah. I mean, it is interesting.
So do the cameras that people leave in these locations when there's nobody in there and picks up full body apparitions, do they breathe as well?
No, but see, that's what I'm saying. They're not saying that all activity this is the reason for it, but they're, I don't know, I guess they're just trying to find
Ways to spend their money.
one reason, I suppose. But it's funny because the whole thing that they're talking about was talking about the quality of the air, but they were doing tests in places like museums and stuff where you know that the air quality is good because there are old artifacts and things there, and that's one of the things that has to be right.
Right, has to be precise
in that situation.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're going to find anything or if they're going to try and make some kind of correlation with the mold spores and the seeing. I don't know.
I don't like it. I mean, anytime that people are spending time doing research, actual research on something that they could be researching more into the phenomena of communicating with the dead after they've moved on.
Right.
Or, you know.
Well, some universities aren't really keen on that kind of, you know. I mean, they want something scientific.
Basically, nobody's keen on anything until we prove it.
Right.
And we have to shove it down their throat forcefully.
Right.
And, you know, unfortunately, that's how it goes with, I don't know, everything, you know, from freaking giants to, which has been the latest rage, you know, all the giant evidence that, you know, throughout the years it's been hidden.
Right.
To, you know, I'm sure they had a fun time with dinosaurs when they first, you know, started coming around. You know, I'm sure that was really good to get over in a Christian university.
I'm sure,
You know?
I'm sure. But supposedly they're, and I guess they're just specifically targeting places with mold that could cause psychosis to cause you to hear things. I don't know. But it seems to me there's been a lot more sightings and things in places that were not necessarily toxic.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of sightings in black moldy places.
There are.
Because I have sure as hell seen quite a bit in mold-induced, you know, places, but it had nothing to do with.
But see, I don't really know why unless they're just using it as this supposedly haunted, you know, museum. I don't really know why they're going there. But
the best apparitions I've ever seen have been in pretty clean places. So
I'll just
go on that.
the first one we ever saw was a fairly clean place.
Yeah, fairly clean.
It was
your
house.
Place. Yeah.
It was pretty clean.
Right. Right. It was pretty clean. I'll give you that.
Probably some dust, maybe.
A little bit, maybe, possibly. You're pretty, you know. I mean, that was one of the reasons, you know, you were such a darling. The cooking and the cleaning was so top shelf.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
At least you're clever.
We'll move on from that. You gotta have something, right? Okay. So let's just move on. So there's been a really cool archaeological discovery. Love archaeological discoveries, and this is.
I love the fact that we have to all hold our breath on whether or not
I'm
archaeological
gonna
is
say
going to come out correctly.
Was it that noticeable? I was trying
Yeah.
really hard not to mess
it was
up.
like you were on a motorcycle and you were trying to go over a hill. Now it went right, you did it, but everybody at the bottom was kind of like, "Oh shit, is Stacey going to make it over the hill?" It was a little laboring, but continue.
Okay.
Wait.
Anyway, yes. So they found hundreds of skeletons under Cambridge University. Hundreds
Wow.
of medieval skeletons. They were. I'm not sure what they were doing. I'm sure it's in
So
here somewhere.
they found a race of skeletal people.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Because they used to take over. I don't know. Supposedly, the building that they found it under was built on a graveyard that was used by a medieval hospital of St. John the Evangelist.
That was built on a farmhouse, built on
Yeah,
a
something.
steeple.
Something like that. It was established in 11.
It's England. There's not a whole lot of space.
The graveyard was established in 1195 and it was closed in 1511. That's how old these skeletons are. And so the Old Divinity School was built on top of the burial site in the late 19th century. So they were restoring the Old Divinity School, and
Think
that's
about
when
that.
they found it.
Just for 1 second. It was opened in 11 something and closed in 15 something.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at like the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's to us, holy cow.
Yeah, it's like
it was a graveyard longer than we've been a country.
316 years is
Yeah.
how long a graveyard was open. And they supposedly
getting close.
the hospital was founded to care for poor scholars and other wretched persons.
Oh.
Wasn't that nice?
Oh, poor scholars and other wretched people.
Not pregnant women, lepers, wounded, cripples, or mentally ill. None of those people.
Better keep the lepers out. Jesus.
But because there weren't.
Do you think the sign said, like, do you think it was said that
It
on
probably did.
like-
they didn't really care back then. They weren't politically
like,
correct. They were
the
just
home
like,
for poor scholars and other wretched people?
yeah, but not women
Sounds
or
like
lepers or wounded.
that's awesome.
Or no cripples or
I want to
mentally
live
ill.
there. Especially since lepers can't be there.
But the reason they thought that is because there were no infants. There was only a few young women. Most of the people were not. They could tell that maybe they had
Wretched?
ailments, but they hadn't been cured. You know what I mean? Like,
What classifies you as wretched?
I don't know. Maybe because they already said poor scholars. I would think wretched would be kind of like poor.
Yeah. Wretched could be annoying. It could be like.
It could be.
It could be like.
But I don't think they'd let people in the hospital that were just annoying. You'd think that would be like a big no-no.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Continue.
I don't know. But, it was interesting that they found, over 1,000 graves, just tons of them. And I don't know, it doesn't say in here what they're going to do now that they found this. They can't just leave it there, right? Like, can't
Why?
just like, oh, we didn't see that,
Yeah, like,
throw some dirt back
They just
over
said
it.
that's the catacombs under Cambridge.
That's what was down there all this time.
I'll tell you what I wouldn't do is I wouldn't disturb it or shoot a movie
I think
about
they've
it.
probably already disturbed it. They've dug it up
I wouldn't disturb
accidentally,
it any
I
further.
suppose.
They could try to find out who they were, which you're not going to be able to because of the time. They need to give them some kind of ceremony, maybe.
Well, it says they're excavating it, so they're obviously getting in there and trying to get it out
They
of
need to
there.
bring a priest and have him spray some stuff and be like, get us like a squirt water bottle or something and be like, "Oh, wretched people. Oh, wretched people, we are so sorry for your bones and the way we moved them around." And then it'd all be good. Oh.
I'm curious what
I've seen it on TV and it works.
so they're restoring this Old Divinity School at St. John's College. I wonder what they do in that building. Like,
I don't know. I
wonder-
bet they look for new divinity.
I wonder if, but I wonder
It's
if
like, I'm
it has.
tired of the old divinity.
I wonder if that building has reports
Freaking
of.
Zeus.
I think you even made Justin laugh on that one. I wonder if there's like reports in
Did
that
you just
building.
call him the Justin? Is this something new I haven't learned about?
The Justin over
Oh.
there.
Is he speaking in the third person again? Damn it, Justin. We just need that needs to be we need to have the one camera where we can just look at it and go, "Damn it, Justin." Continue. Do you know what you were talking about?
I'm not entirely sure. I was just curious what they did in that building and whether they had reports of paranormal activity or if they're going to now that they've disturbed all these
They probably look for new divinity.
graves. Yes, you said that already.
Oh.
I think we're past that joke.
Oh, that wasn't a cut?
I don't think
Oh, okay. Damn it, Justin.
if it is, it'll be, I don't know. He didn't say cut, so I was just rolling with it. So
All right.
anyway, shall we move on?
We shall.
Okay, turn the page for me. Okay, so this is an interesting story. This is about a marathon that's coming up. It's called the Loch Ness Marathon. Guess where it is?
I don't know.
You have any
Where's
idea?
it at?
It's in Scotland. And the organizers of the race have put up a thing where runners can win 50,000 pounds if they take a selfie while they're on the run and get photobombed by Nessie.
And it's just 50,000 pounds.
That's a lot of money.
Somebody needs to
just 50,000.
Somebody needs to get a hold of that plethosaurus and just be like, hey, you know,
But
we'll split it.
I mean, they're expecting over 9,000 people. So if all those people run right by and everybody takes a selfie, you never know. Someone might get photobombed.
If a couple hundred people take a selfie and Nessie's in the background, I think the money's going to be the last thing that they're worried about. Just saying. I don't think they're going to be worried about how are we going to pay all these people. Oh, crap, there's a giant dinosaur. You know, I think it's going to be more of the giant dinosaur than how we're going to pay all this.
But it's cool. It's a
Call me
marathon they
wacky.
run. And, you know, that's a big tourist thing for them there. So they just sort of incorporated it into,
You know, I would never take a dip in that lake,
no,
in that loch. I mean, there's sharks. There's like freshwater sharks in the very bottom of it.
No, I'm pretty convinced that I will never get in any kind of
Stingrays.
lake or ocean or mud puddle or anything ever again because
Oh, yeah, the mud puddles.
because
Oh,
I
God.
watched River Monsters
Oh,
and
Stacey.
everything in the water can kill you. There's more, not everything, but more things can kill you in the water than I ever thought there would
You
be.
know, it's not paranormal, but electric eels are kind of paranormal.
They're kinda creepy.
I mean, what? They can light up light bulbs.
This is what I get for watching
It's
National
like the Uncle
Geographic Channel.
Fester. It's like Uncle Fester of the animal world. I love it.
Telling you.
All right.
I don't know. Anyway, so I thought that was pretty interesting that they were offering that little kind of bounty there. I wonder if anybody's going to try and fake it. You think, I mean, I guess it'd be hard.
I don't know.
All those people around.
I can't believe you would say such a thing. Who would try to fake something like the Loch Ness Monster?
I think it's silly. If that many people really are running by Loch Ness, do you really think the monster's going to come out? Oh, look, it's a party.
Yeah.
Time to show myself.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a running party.
I think that it would scare anything away.
Yeah.
Really, that many people. If there was something there.
I don't know, man.
Do you think
I
there's
don't
Loch
know.
Ness?
Yeah.
Do you believe in Loch Ness?
I believe the Loch Ness Monster, and here's why. For 1,000 years, there has been stories come from Loch Ness.
Is that your storytelling voice?
In that 1,000 years, the stories were sporadic at best. You know, it started with the saint or whoever that was walking and blah, blah, blah in like 500. I don't remember. I didn't study for this one. But, you know, for roughly 2,000 years, we've had these stories. Now, the stories increased in the past 100 years, which makes people think, well, there's probably a lot of fakery and tomfoolery. But there was a freaking road built there in like the 20s
Right.
beside the lake. So that's going to increase the chances of seeing something because before the road, you didn't have anybody there except the people who lived there.
Well, yeah, people that went down there for a purpose,
Right.
you know, fishing or something. Whatever.
Right. So yeah, I believe there's a Nessie. I do. I believe that the sheer fact that we have so much undiscovered ocean and the depth of that, you know, it definitely has it has the food sources for
Right.
it to survive
And the space.
and the space. I believe there's something to it.
Well, you know, we were just joking about that, the River Monster show, but I mean, look at that guy, Jeremy Wade. He's been fishing for how many years, and how many times on that show has he said, I have never seen this before?
Right.
And I mean, he does that for a living. That's what he does.
Right. Well, I mean, it's just kind of it.
And
I
so,
mean,
you never know.
there's an endless wonder in this planet.
Endless wonder. Okay. Just a couple more stories, kind of on a little lighter note than the Loch Ness selfie picture. I don't know.
Right.
But this one I thought was really funny. There's a new website out there. It's not for you. It's for people who are single.
Oh,
For single people out there.
I could try it and just see what they're doing.
You could just check it out, huh? Anyway, this is a dating site, but it's just for people who are into the supernatural. It's called the Supernatural Dating Society.
The what?
The Supernatural Dating Society.
Oh my
It's an
God.
online dating site just for those who are interested in paranormal, ghosts, other.
So it's like my Facebook. All right. Now let me say, and I'm going to try to be as sensitive as possible.
Right.
1997, we kind of got into the paranormal. And 2004, organized paranormal with the teams and whatnot. That was when the real fun kicked in. Because when you have a team, you have interesting cast of characters that are going to come apply for said team. Now, sometimes you get incredible gems and friends for life. And then other times, being what we're dealing with, you're going to get the people that are a little bit more colorful and interesting.
That's a nice. I was wondering what you were going to say. Colorful and interesting.
Well, I mean, you have to be sensitive. It's not their fault they're so colorful and interesting, now is it?
No. It's the aliens' fault that zapped them up into space and probed them.
But when MySpace came along, things got more interesting. And then when Facebook and, Skype and all this stuff came along, there's been paranormal dating going on for a long time. And, that's an interesting site. Like, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go and see what's going on. No, I'm not.
I actually clicked on the link just to see if it was really a real website because I wasn't sure when I read the story but this came from E! Online.
I mean, if there's a Farmers Online.
Yeah, farmersonly.com and
Christian Mingle.
AsianDate.com.
Yeah.
And there's like very specific dating sites.
Yeah.
But what I got so tickled about this is why can't you just, if you're going to use a dating site, why can't you use a regular dating site and under interests put paranormal?
Why don't we create like a necromancer, like we need to go like the next step.
Super specific dating site.
Yeah. It's like gay, bi, curious, raise the dead,
Because those all go together.
Yeah, well,
It's just like the standard, yeah.
Kind of does.
Anyway, it says that it's not just limited to people who believe in ghosts. Anyone with a bizarre interest is welcome. And to me, that just opens it up way too far when it says bizarre interest.
Yeah, probably the intention of that is to open it up way too far.
But so I just looked at the main page. I didn't want to click into there and see. I was just curious that it was a real site.
Sure.
It's a real site. And if anybody out there is using this site currently and would like to tell us what it's about, I'd be happy to hear about it. That'd be great. I'd like to see some profiles on supernatural dating site. I wonder if you want to date a vampire.
You really tickled about
what?
that. Are you all right?
No, I'm more tickled about you now. I'm more what now?
Dickled.
I'm more tickled about you.
Dickled is when you get tickled about dick.
I'm sorry.
Or about... It's a guy we know.
Okay. Moving on. Let's just not even touch that one.
Please.
I really think you took something that I usually take today.
I didn't take any dickle.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, not really.
Okay. All right, last story.
Nobody's really sure about that one.
If you thought that last story was good, this one is priceless. This is about a couple that's been arrested recently, and they were arrested for selling golden tickets to heaven.
Oh.
Do you want a golden ticket to heaven?
I want the golden ticket to heaven. Yes, of course I do.
So these people.
Wait, do I have to go take the free tour of the heaven and with Willie Heaven?
Share the heaven with a couple other people? No. So these two people, Tito and Amanda Watts, they were arrested over the weekend.
Tito?
Tito. His name's Tito.
Okay.
If you want to go to this article and look at it and look at the pictures, the guy's picture is hilarious. He has these lines on his face, so he either has weird tattoos or he was attacked by a pack of Sharpie markers. I don't know. It's just like everywhere.
It happens.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, so they were selling tickets on the street for $100 a ticket. $99.99 is what it says. $100 a ticket. And they told the buyers that the tickets were made from solid gold, and each ticket reserved the buyer a spot in heaven. You just have to present the ticket at the pearly gates and you're in no matter what.
Wow.
Right? That's not the funniest part of the story, believe it or not. So they were arrested because the police said that what they were selling weren't actually solid gold tickets, but they were 2x4s that were cut up and spray painted gold with a Sharpie marker writing "Admit One" to heaven on it.
So they weren't concerned with the fact they were selling tickets to heaven.
No, just
they were concerned with the fact it wasn't really gold.
Yeah, that they were saying that it was gold when it wasn't really gold. Okay, so I'm still not to the funniest part of the story. Okay, so Tito Watts, he said his police statement said that he didn't care what the police said. The tickets were solid gold, that Jesus gave them to him behind the KFC, because that's where Jesus operates, really.
If he's going to be somewhere.
Behind the KFC. And told him to sell them so that he could get some money to go to outer space. Because he wants to go to outer space, apparently, not heaven. Because he met an alien who said if he got the cash together, him and his wife could go on their flying saucer to a planet made of crack cocaine. I think we're seeing the essence of the story now, don't you? And they could go to this planet made of crack cocaine and have all the crack cocaine they want, and it would be fine. And he suggested that the police arrest Jesus because he's the one that gave them the tickets originally, and that he was willing to wear a wire to help set Jesus up. Now, to be fair, there could be people named Jesus. It might not be Jesus,
right?
Like we're thinking.
It could be Jesus.
Okay, so here's the funniest part of the story, okay? When they confiscated all the stuff from these people, one of the things they had was over $10,000 in cash, which means they must have sold. Are you doing the math here? They must have sold 100 of these stupid pieces of wood spray painted gold with "Admit One to Heaven" written on it.
Well, I'll tell you.
I can't wrap my mind around that.
Tito, if you're watching, I will buy
ticket to heaven.
A golden ticket to heaven made by you, Tito. And I want a little bit more information on your crack cocaine, planet that Jesus likes to go to. Because my Jesus would come from a pure cocaine planet. But what?
Wait, and his wife's police statement, she said that all she said was that they just wanted to leave Earth and go to space and smoke rock cocaine. That's understandable. And she said she didn't do anything. He sold the tickets. She just watched. So she's instantly kicking her husband under the bus there. Said, I didn't do anything. It was all him. Just want to go smoke cocaine. But also, after they confiscated the $10,000 cash, they also confiscated 5 crack pipes, which they were obviously smoking every single one of those, and a baby alligator. I don't know what the baby alligator's for.
You sure the baby alligator wasn't really Jesus?
He might have been.
And he just kind of, changed real quick.
I still can't get past the fact that they sold $10,000 worth of pieces of wood painted gold.
That's awesome. At least they're creative.
I suppose. I mean, it's too bad they're on crack. He could probably really make some money with something.
What's going to happen? Let's just say it all ends tomorrow.
Right.
And we see people in droves going to KFCs.
To get their golden tickets.
With the wood in their hands. I mean, and we're here laughing.
God, KFC is the gate to heaven.
I mean,
how could we have not seen it?
We're left here laughing while people are riding baby gators to the crack cocaine planet in outer space.
I know.
I mean,
with Stevie the alien.
Yeah, that's the most amazing.
Tickets to heaven.
I want to be his friend. When he gets put in prison, can we pen pal?
Sure, probably.
Because I just want to be friends with him.
You just want letters from him? We could ask him all about his alien.
Every day. That's amazing. We're going to have to get Tito as a guest.
I want to know which planet's made entirely of crack cocaine.
I want to know the name of it. That's amazing.
Wow.
Kudos. Good job.
That's my favorite story.
Ever.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Probably ever.
Poor baby alligator.
All right. Well, I don't really know what to say about that last story.
I don't know. I just read what I see online.
Dude, the art I'm seeing in my head with Jesus surfing on a baby gator, leaving the KFC parking lot.
Golden tickets to heaven.
Yeah, golden tickets falling out everywhere. Wow. I mean, really?
You know what we're going to have? We need to get a golden ticket to heaven.
And just put it right here.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So, well, maybe we should have two, and so we don't fight over it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can have it.
It's okay. You can have it.
No, you sure? No, seriously, go
No,
ahead.
really, it's okay.
ThirdSideParanormal.com. That's your destination for everything baby gator and crack cocaine. I don't know.
Can't even.
I don't even know where to go. Like, you can't even make jokes.
I had to do that story last because there's no segue into anything real from that.
Yeah. I mean, ThirdSideParanormal.com is probably a lot more sane than that guy. Facebook.com/ThirdSide. That's where you can go and really find out any kind of up to the minute, up to the second news on baby gators. Twitter @3SidePara. That's the number 3. Side Para. And give us a subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching there right now, it's somewhere on the screen you're looking at. You know, definitely subscribe. That way you'll know anytime a new video drops. And on iTunes, leave us a review. If you're listening right now, go watch. If you're watching right now, well, you don't have to go listen because you're kind of listening.
Because you can already hear it.
Yeah, at the same time. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. So you've already done your duty. Thank you very much. I can't get over sometimes the world. I mean, that's just mad. It's absolutely mad. And I have to give you your present. The imaginary present being handed to you for you finally found the craziest story I've ever heard. For my lovely wife, Stacey, my name's John. So long from the third side.
Good night.